Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sandy Spady, the host of Power Up Talk Show, a talk show that brings together community leaders, inspirational people, so we can empower, inspire, and power up our world. Today, I have an amazing guest. Hold on to your socks, ladies and gentlemen. We might have a little O'Neill High in the studio already, O'Neill, Nebraska, that is. I am so honored to have a guest. He just has such a great heart. He's a father, an entrepreneur, and a community leader. Dan Loutzenhiser.
Sandy,
hello.
Nailed the name. Thank you.
Nailed it. Yes. I'm so excited to have you on today because
be here.
I remember the day that I was with a volunteer with the Greater Omaha Chamber, and he said, you need to go to this new location. They're opening up a coffee shop. I'm like, well, heck yeah, let's do it. And I walked in, it was practically empty, and there was the counter, and I walked in, and there was Dan. I think you had some like sheet metal dust on you or something. And when I heard you're from O'Neill, Nebraska, ladies and gentlemen, we're both from O'Neill, Nebraska. It's a great small town, Irish capital of Nebraska, and I'm like, we're doing this. Dan, I'm so excited to have you. You've done a lot in the community, and you started out, let's see, you have 5 stores now, right? Stories Coffee Company. He went from healthcare operations.
CHI.
To coffee shop. Dan, tell us, how did you do this? What made you want to be an entrepreneur, having to be around multiple types of people? Stories Coffee, what's the story?
Oh, man. I guess the journey to get to where we're at today is often probably very similar to other entrepreneurs. I mean, you just have a passion, you have a desire, and realize God gives you certain talents and callings that, at the time didn't realize where they would lead. Started in the corporate life at CHI Health, director of operations, and had some personal things go on. I lost my wife in 2015, which really just reshaped my perspective on kind of goals and what the meaning of life was, not to get too deep, but just wanted to kind of take our passion for coffee. My father and I were roasting coffee in O'Neill, Nebraska, for about 10 years before that. And my entrepreneurial spirit, which I felt was not necessarily getting completely fulfilled in the setting that I was at, and doing something different for the community and for my kids. And so things just kind of aligned, and had the opportunity in 2017 to purchase the name Stories Coffee House, which used to be on 180th and Pacific. And my wife, I've remarried, Brooke, she fanned the fire, and we jumped full force in, not knowing 100% what we were getting into, but we knew this is something we had to do. And 6 years later, 4 kids now and 5 locations. It's a little bit crazy, but it's a lot of fun.
That's one thing I notice about entrepreneurs is that they just do it. They just have that passion that they can't say no to. And I love that you said yes to your entrepreneurship. Now tell me, as far as, it's a big difference, correct? How do you manage? How do you recruit? How do you keep everyone happy when you have so many stores and so many employees?
I mean, it's harder the bigger you get. Obviously, you can't keep your eyes on everything. Fortunately, we've hired good people, and so we trust. We have systems that we're trying to set up even more. Obviously, growing very quickly really requires a lot more training, a lot more things from a business side that I think we're going back and just kind of addressing and making sure everything's squared away. But we've just been so blessed with good people. Have a lot of young talent at our locations wanting to be baristas, but then very seasoned managers and just good people that are running it. So we've been very, very blessed with that.
Yes, that's what I love, is that whenever you meet any of his employees, they're happy. You know why they're happy? Because they have a great environment to work. And that says a lot about you as a business owner, because hospitality has been my entire life, right? Growing up with a small town, O'Neill, my parents, Lee and Carol Specialty Hut. Hospitality's always had a big heart for me. And to walk into an establishment where you see people happy to be there, it says a lot about you, Dan, and I love that. Tell me, when you're out recruiting managers, what is it that you're looking for?
I think it's just, approachability, kindness. I think there's a lot of people that have a lot of talents, but I think first and foremost, it's about fit. We don't have it all figured out. Obviously, we've had some hires that didn't work out, but it's just connection and a belief in what we're doing. And then once that's established, I think we can teach people how to make a latte and do certain things around the shop that are meaningful from a business standpoint. But the fit is so important, and I realize that more and more as we grow. And the managers are the ambassadors of the brand and helping to shape the frontline employees. So it's so important. It's hard to find sometimes because you can only ask so many questions, and you just got to give it a try and hire.
I love that. Now, with 5 different locations, I'm sure there are different demographics, different locations. What is it that you looked for when you were shopping for these locations that made you say yes to them?
I think we've been blessed with a lot of opportunities that have come our way. We're always listening. We're always looking. Obviously, 114th and Dodge is our first larger location. Wanting a drive-through, wanting a large cafe. But recently, we just went into Lincoln, and we don't have a drive-through, but we have a large cafe. And just each environment's different, and we don't want a cookie-cutter approach, but we want some sort of common experience for people to come through, for Gretna, for Midtown. So we're just looking for that larger space that's going to create life. And if it has a drive-through and it has certain demographics that might pull in consistent with our customers, that's kind of what we're looking for.
I love that. I often say that Stories Coffee is my second office because I meet people there, but then I'm like, I run into 2 or 3 people that are already there. And I love that the community, right? What is the slogan that you have on every wall? People love coffee.
People love coffee. Yeah.
I love that slogan. The name, all right, stories. I love stories. I love when people share stories because you get to know them, right?
Yep.
How did you come up with that name?
Well, we can't.
Was it already there?
Well, it was Stories Coffee House on 180th
Okay.
Pacific. So actually, the story's been around for 15 years. We just continued on and hadn't, placed a ton of emphasis on the name or understood just how appropriate the name Stories was until we understood just how much the community embraced it and became part of that. And everybody coming in has a story to tell. And I think it's cool how God has worked in all this to show us and just confirm that it is about the community. It's about the space and allowing people to come in and have their first dates and their business meetings. And so pretty ironic, but very fitting. And like we said, we can't take credit for it, but we are continuing to be cheesy. The story of stories. And hopefully there's a lot more chapters.
And I love that. And if you've ever been in Stories on 114th Street, you'll see a wall there. And on that wall, there's a nonprofit that they support. Dan, tell me about that nonprofit, how you support nonprofits and the community, things that you do.
Yeah, I think that was, one of the first things Brooke and I talked about was we want to create a space, but we want to create an impact in the community. And that's through giving back financially, but also awareness. So the wall itself, we've had a lot of nonprofits on there. Like Hetra was our last one. It's an animal therapy nonprofit in the Gretna area that are local. They're not the United Ways of the world, and those are great. We just wanted to be able. We're not giving a ton, but to us it's a lot, and so we want to make sure whatever money we give goes a long way, and we can educate, and that's been so rewarding, is to be able to get to know these nonprofits and just the cool things that they're doing in the Omaha community.
And I love that, one, they are a local, smaller nonprofits, right? And I love that you educate. There's not a person that walks through that Stories Coffee that does not see that wall.
Yeah.
And they're like, what is that? And that brings the story.
Yeah.
I love that, Dan. With so many coffee shops around, right? We love coffee. Tell me, what makes Stories Coffee Company stand out?
There are such a great amount of coffee shops. And so I think people naturally bounce between one or the other. And I think what we offer is community and a welcoming environment. And not that the others don't. I think that that's just something that really has shine through as we've developed as a business. So community and just welcomeness. We're a bit unique in that we're more than just a coffee shop. Obviously, we have food, we have wine, we have beer, live music, sometimes comedy night and trivia night. And so it is truly a community space. But we have our coffees roasted, like I said, in O'Neill. And we tried to do some in Omaha, just didn't have the facility set up at the time. But we've definitely focused on having that experience complemented by our quality product with the coffee and the food.
I love that. Now tell us about the entertainment. How did you come up with the entertainment? Like the live music, right? Is that on Sunday nights, I believe, or when?
Friday night
Friday nights?
in Gretna, Saturday in 114th, and then we have open mic night as well, sprinkled in on Thursday nights. So if you want to bring out your ukulele or do whatever you want to do, Sandy.
My Irish tapping shoes.
There you go.
I love that, Dan. I love that.
That's a solid idea.
I love that. Tell me more about, as far as you, I was just recently blessed to see you speak at the Midtown location to the entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I love that you're embracing the entrepreneurship, because so many people, they look up to you. Honestly, you are really that figure for that person that's ready to take that next step for entrepreneurship. If there's any advice you could give to an entrepreneur, you totally switched careers, you had a life change, right? And then you're like, I'm just going to do it. For any of the audience out there that is entrepreneurs that are thinking, you know what, this job's sucking my energy out, I'm not happy here, I want to do something fulfilling. That's the advice that I want you to give the audience.
Oh boy. No pressure.
Nope, no pressure.
I mean, there's a lot of different answers to that. And I think, myself going through corporate life, going and obtaining master's degrees and all that, I don't think necessarily I still was prepared for just the grind. And I think the one big thing is that, it's kind of cliche, but if it's a passion, if it's something you enjoy, such as coffee and community and small business, that grind is going to be so rewarding. And not that it isn't in the other setting, but I think that's what I've learned the most is just, it might be 10 o'clock at night and I'll be, researching milk prices or something silly. Like it's, just things I like to do because it's part of the business. And then secondly, seeking out people. And after this, I'm going to meet with some students from UNO and do some project together. Just being in that environment and surrounding yourself. I hadn't been in that. It was much more corporate. So shift into, being around people that are like-minded in that. It's very comforting and it builds confidence to know that somebody like Dan, who, just had an idea and did it, and Brooke, that, it's obtainable and it's not too intimidating. Scary, but it's not intimidating.
I love that. And I love that Brooke, your wife, her background is advertising, marketing, correct? Or that's what she helps you with. I love that you've taken both your talents and your strengths and you're complementing each other. Tell me, what's Brooke up to? What is she? What fuels her to help you with that part of the business?
Definitely not settings like this. So whenever these come up, she always passes them my way. But yeah, she's so talented in social media, events, keeping kids alive. We have 4 kids, like I said. So it's definitely a juggling act. And she's very integrated into the overall experience as you feel, you walk in, you see things. And so a lot of the things, like you said, that I definitely have no expertise and should stay away from, she steps in and complements. And obviously I'm more time involved. She's also a nurse practitioner in the NICU at Children's. So she's juggling that with kids and this. And so wherever we can find our fit, we usually divide and conquer, but we make a great team.
I love it. Yes, you make a great team. Now, my other thing is that some people may not realize, but I love that you have a mobile truck.
Yeah.
A coffee truck. If you have those events, tell us about the coffee truck. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You can hire us to come. It's a trained barista. We'll bring out our espresso machine, smoothies, teas, and we'll make it right there, right in front of you. And have had a lot of weddings, just corporate events, and yeah, it's been super popular. So yeah, I guess that's a 6th location for us if you count the mobile van.
Yeah, I think it is, because I know it's a lot of work. And actually, Dan is so supportive of the community. He's sponsored my coffee at my summit, Women with Voices Summit, every year, and he's going to be another sponsor. So thank you in advance.
It's a pleasure.
Because we cannot start a summit out without good coffee, right? You need good coffee to wake up. What's there one thing I love to talk about super strengths in someone, and finding their, embracing their weaknesses and finding their super strengths. What would you say that would be your super strength that you could share with everyone?
I mean, I think we're all created differently, and obviously a strength of mine is probably, I guess, vision and casting the idea of where opportunity lies in the form of business development, recognizing opportunities in the business and creating hopefully a team that will help complement my weaknesses. Because on that same side, I do have weaknesses where I know I'm not good in X, Y, and Z. And we don't have to get into all of those, but there's a lot that, we try to find people that complement to help then create a well-rounded business. And it's cool to be in a position where I do feel my strengths are being utilized, and hopefully continue to expand on it and, find a lot of fulfillment in that.
I love that. So what is stories next? Like, what's the next stories? You have gone, go, gadget. What is up your sleeve? What's happening with stories in the future? Where do you see it in 5 years?
I'd like to continue, the growth that we've had in the cafes. Obviously moving into Lincoln's a new market for us, expanding Omaha as well, but also getting into much more wholesale as well as retail. You can't always swing by our locations, so to have a 12-ounce whole bean coffee that we've roasted, to be able to pick that up on the shelves or through a subscription or online, I think that would definitely help just continue to diversify us as a business. So I think growing on that, I think we've established ourselves in who we are and how our cafes operate. So refining a bit of the operations and the systems that we have while still continuing that growth. We don't want to grow too much, but we kind of just part of our DNA.
I love that. Now, I find it interesting because not all coffee shops have coffee, but they don't all have beer and wine. What made you decide to capture that audience of not only coffee, but 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock entertainment to have that wine?
Yeah, I think it's kind of built off of, if Brooke and I were wanting to go out and just, after dinner or pre-dinner, whether she wants to have a drink or if I want to have a drink, and a very unassuming, non-bar type of experience. I think it's kind of the best of both worlds. You get the morning and the afternoon. Obviously, coffee's our bread and butter, but we do have craft beers that we have locally, and then 4 wines that will rotate. But soon to roll out some cocktails as well, maybe an espresso martini or something kind of on that angle. But we're just really wanting to make sure we get everything kind of honed in and figured out before you start adding anything new.
Now, Dan, if you need help with that espresso martini, it is my favorite cocktail. I have a secret recipe you can maybe schmooze me over for, because that's what I love. I love that what touched me right now when you said is that going somewhere that's the right atmosphere to have that cocktail, that's not a bar, right? We don't want that atmosphere necessarily. They're great when you're in the mood, but to have that option to go somewhere that you're already comfortable at and to have that glass of wine, espresso martini, is so nice. I love that. I never thought of that concept, but I love that concept.
Yeah.
Dan, so tell me, O'Neill High, what class did you graduated in?
03.
03, class of 1986. Growing up in a small town, as you and I did, which we love O'Neill, by the way. Your father's still there. He's still roasting the coffee, right? What is it that you learned growing up in a small town that you would want others to know that was so great about it?
I think obviously the family feel of it. It's kind of cliche to say we could, play until nighttime and not ever have to worry. And you still have that too in pockets in Omaha, but just truly that everybody cares for each other. Obviously, my dad being a pastor as well, growing up in the church, having so many people looking out for us, and that aspect of it, I think my kids will have that no matter where they go if we have good a support group around us. But there's a lot of things. Just a lot of things, small town that teaches you just hard work, desire to, figure out, your talents and take them, whether that be staying in town or moving to the big city of Omaha. But so many good things about O'Neill.
Yeah, I always say that it's really rooted inside of you, that small town feeling. And when I think of Stories Coffee too, it's like that stories, right? It's coming in, having that story, it's building that relationship. And I think that's that small town. Like, we just really care about people.
Yeah.
We really want to hear your story, right?
Yeah.
Now, the next thing I have to tell you is that things in high school, right? So I might have a surprise. Thanks to Brooke.
Oh, yeah.
Dan, do you know this person in this
Yeah,
picture?
that's a young buck right there.
Yes.
That's a while ago. Jeez. That's what she was up to, huh?
Yeah. Brooke's a great
Good job,
partner in crime. Yes. Now, looking at this picture, Dan, you see a young Dan.
Yeah.
What is it that today, when you look at this picture, this young fellow, senior, what would you tell him today of the experiences that you've lived, right? That you would tell him today?
Dang, that's a tough one. I wouldn't want to ruin anything because, I mean, each step, I mean, even, the moving away, the coming back, the personal law. I mean, it's life and it's hard. It's great at the same time, I wouldn't know what to tell him other than, just keep going, and I think that's been 20 years, I guess it's been now. It's crazy. Not knowing necessarily even this stage of life, what the next stage brings, and to think, I had it all figured out at 18. I didn't, and I still don't at 38, but just keep on going and, focusing on not too far out in the future. But man, yeah, that's a young, naive look there.
I know, I love it. And he was also in swing choir. And
No, not swing
No,
choir.
are you sure?
No, it was just
Okay, I guess it was great. Okay, he was basketball and what else? Football.
Yeah, it was kind of a big deal.
Okay.
No, I wasn't.
KBRX, we're waiting for your telephone call.
Yeah, right.
To be on the talk show.
I was, not that good at any of them. Just good enough.
Good
Yeah,
enough.
I was in choir, I was in band and stuff like that, but
Nice.
we can change the subject now.
Yes,
Yeah.
great. But we are waiting KBRX for that talk. It's a KBRX, their local radio station. We love them, so we were asking for the call for that interview. Yes.
Do you remember the party line?
Party line. It's like still selling anything you wanted to sell. It was amazing.
Cats that just showed
yeah.
up, you could give
Or
them.
like someone's missing. They didn't, anything. It was great. No, it wasn't people, I swear. But it was it was community, right?
Yeah.
And I love that. Dan, tell us one more thing. Now that I've blurred everything on here and
Yeah,
just showed
made me,
your class
get all
picture.
uncomfortable.
Yes, that's what I love. I just truly find you as a person just so approachable. And I know that you are maybe looking, like you said, you're going to talk to UNO students and other students. What is it when you go to talk to those students, right? The one thing that you want them to walk away with?
I mean, I'm very transparent when I meet with them. And so I think I like to share just how little everybody has things figured out. And I'm not saying that, maybe it's just me, but I think there's a lot of, you just got to try and you got to figure it out, and you'll never be over prepared or even prepared sometimes. And I think that, moving into something, going from healthcare into the restaurant world, there was a lot of things that we didn't really prepare for and now understand much more. But it's kind of cool because you get to really learn, and you get to take on and step into things and just learn, I guess, that not everybody has it all figured out. And I think there's this image that you have to know every single answer. You have to be so knowledgeable in this, and that's not really how it works in the real world, at least from my perception. But to be confident in who you are and knowing that you'll find the answers, you'll surround yourself by the right people, or maybe you do have the best answer, even if it's not the perfect answer. So maybe like I said, very transparent when I meet with people, and it's fun to be able to see that because I can see a little bit of myself in there wanting to do this or that, and it's pretty cool and rewarding.
Well, Dan, thank you for being your authentic self. And I just admire you. I love that you're just doing great things with the community and that you really care. And I see that, so thank you.
Thank you for always supporting us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I am Story's #1 cheerleader. This is Sandy Spady. Thank you for joining us today on Power Up Talk Show. It's a community. We are the community. Go out, be the difference, and be that change. Have a great day.